Today I'll be discussing the foundations of Jyotish astrology. The word Jyotish derives from Sanskrit, meaning light or heavenly bodies. Jyotish originates from Hindu or Vedic astrology. And Vedic astrology helps us to have more clarity in our lives, and it also helps us to understand our past and our future actions as well. More specifically, astrology is an ancient scientific, mathematical, and spiritual tool. We can think of it as a celestial map of our life path, which includes our psychological traits, our habits, our spiritual inclinations, our ancestral information, what we're here to develop, lessons that we're learning, our conscious and unconscious states, and much, much more. When we get a reading from an astrologer, they pull up our natal chart, and this is based on our birth information, the time we were born, the location we were born, and the date in which we were born. So they pull up that information and they pull up basically our celestial map, and that is a snapshot of the planets in certain signs the moment we were born. So it's really fascinating. We can tell so much about a person and their like I already mentioned, their lessons that they're learning, their psychological complexes, their strengths, and things that they need to work on. Included in our natal chart, we have planets. So planets are really important in a natal chart because as above, so below, right? So what is going on above, or what was going on above the moment we were born, is going to influence who we are. So for example, all of the planets have relationships with other planets. They can be friendly, they can be neutral, they can be enemies, and depending on those interactions, that can influence us, and they can cause harm to other planets, or they can help other planets, and those things can manifest in our lives. And those are actually, the planetary interactions in our chart are actually called Avestas. Planets are extremely important. They show kind of like our habits, what we're in the habit of doing. Good, bad habits, habits that are producing good in our life, habits that are, not, that are kind of neutral, and then habits that are producing more obstacles in our life. Another thing that we see in an astrological chart are the signs. So there are different signs that most people have heard of already, such as Aries, Taurus, Gemini. So we have those signs. Those are the signs of the sun. The sun goes into a new sign each month. Each sign has 30 degrees, and we have 12 signs, and then that gives us a total of 360 degrees. So the sun has its path that it's on. It's going through all of those signs. The signs give us a lot of information. It provides like a descriptive flavor of what the sun is doing, how the sun is shining. And also my teacher, Ernst Wilhelm, has been working on Adityas, which are very ancient solar deities. The Adityas were the foundation of Hindu astrology, and the zodiac signs weren't introduced to India until much later. They think that the zodiac signs came from either Persia or from Greece or something like that, but they didn't derive from India. So he's getting back to the Adityas and the description of the Adityas. And so in the future, we will dive more into the Adityas because they are super fascinating. We can learn about ourselves in a different way. And we can still use the zodiac signs and incorporate those descriptions in Vedic astrology. We have 12 houses in our natal chart. And based on the time we were born, we can place each sign in a particular house. So for instance, if Aries was the sign rising on the eastern horizon the moment we were born, then Aries is going to rule our first house. And then we can tell the order of the rest of the signs after that based on the original, or based on our rising sign or ascendant sign or lagna. And the houses give us very specific details about who or what is happening, right? So the first house, for example, tells us more information about who we are, ourself, the path that we're on, how we look. And the second house has to do with our resources and the things that we take care of, our values, our self-worth, and things like that. So each house has a particular meaning. And when a planet is in a certain house, we get a lot of information because that planet has a meaning behind it. And then it's in a certain sign, so there's more meaning. And then we have it in a certain house, so that house gives us even more meaning. So basically, astrology is a very abstract, symbolic chart that, if we are trained the right way, we can interpret that chart in a, we can interpret what is going on in a person's life. They say that the houses are the limbs of Vishnu, who is the aspect of the divine, which is in all things. They say all 12 signs are basically Vishnu's limbs. When a planet is in a certain sign, that limb gets activated. And another way to think about this is that these limbs are the chakra system. So when a planet is placed in a certain sign, that chakra is activated, and we can see the energy that's flowing. And if there's problems with that planet will be stagnant, and that planet can, produce a lot of harmful things in a person's life, such as diseases and other things. So we want to make sure that our chakras are as aligned as possible, and that we don't have any stagnant energy. We as astrologers can be seen as energy healers. We can see where there's an imbalance in our chart, an imbalance in our chakras, and we can provide suggestions on how to align a lot better. Another aspect to Vedic astrology are the Nakshatras, which are the signs of the moon. So just like the sun has its 12 signs, the moon has its signs as well, except there are 27 signs. So when we're discussing 27 signs, wow, that's a lot. So the sun is more of our expression, the way we express ourselves, the way we express our love. And the moon, on the other hand, the signs of the moon have more to do with our inner world, our psyche, the way we think, our likes and our dislikes, our psychological, our inner world, and how we feel, our happiness. And so looking at these two different ways of viewing the chart, it's very fascinating. And a lot of the nakshatras have to do with our personality as well. So we not only use the nakshatras for compatibility, but we can use them for predicting. So there's something called muhurta, which is basically predicting events, like predicting the best time to do an event based on nakshatras. So they're very, very valuable. So for example, say someone wants to get married, they want to look at the most desired time for that nakshatra, or say someone wants to buy a home or publish a book or something. So nakshatras, we can use that as one of the tools to figure out when the best date is to do something. The last thing that I'll talk about is the difference between the North Indian chart and the South Indian chart. And we can use either one. With modern Western astrology, they use the wheel to read charts. And Vedic astrologers can use wheels if they want to. The North Indian chart makes it easy to see the placement of the planets. in the houses without labeling the houses. And then the South Indian chart, it makes it easy and convenient for us to see the placements of the planets in the different signs without having the signs labeled. We can just see that a planet is placed in a particular box, and then we know automatically, oh, okay, that is the sign of Sagittarius, for example. And that is all today that I'm going to discuss. Please let me know if you want me to elaborate on any topics that have to do with Vedic astrology, and if you have any questions. And I will see you in the next video.